There's that family in the pool again. I'm on the next deck down, though, with a little lower view. Still got a nice view of the ocean, though. Just can't beat that. Well, there's a house, but yeah, you can't see back that way. Anyway, one of the things I've alluded to is the scams that you can get caught up in if you are looking to borrow money. And there's almost not a business owner I've spoken to yet who hasn't gotten trapped by one of these in a financial crisis. So the bottom line is, when we need money, banks don't want to borrow it, want to lend it to us. When we don't need money, banks fall all over themselves to give it to us. And small businesses, us, get trapped in between that. The key is to have just enough certainty around your business, your financial situation, that a bank would be willing to take the risk to lend you the money. And so we talked about the fact that you would definitely have to sign a personal guarantee. That's pretty much a given for smaller businesses. And that's okay. And you need to have your credit score taken care of in order for that to work. And that's okay. But what will happen is, when people see you doing this and you don't necessarily have a good credit score, you're going to get a bunch of texts and emails that are going to say things like, hey, we have $100,000 put aside for Joe Smith's Plumbing. All you have to do is text this number. Or, hey, we see you have a lot of liens on your various assets, so we know that you're in trouble financially. So, hey, call us and we will make those payments be 1/10 what they are today. And here's the issue with that. What those folks are actually going to do is not lend you money by the normal lending laws for the most part. What they're going to do is do something that's trickily called advances on sales. And when they call it an advance on a sale, then they don't have to give you all of the lending information that the law requires you get when you're borrowing money. Things like, hey, you're going to borrow this much. By the time you're done, you're going to pay us back this much. So even if you're borrowing $10,000 and you're going to end up paying back $100,000, at least you know it. It's in plain print when you do normal borrowing from a bank. These folks are they're not illegal because they're not breaking any laws, but they avoid those laws. And what they do is they make it look exactly like a loan. So you feel like you're dealing with a lending institution. You feel like you're actually getting the kind of help you need. And when you have someone like me read the small print, what you realize is that they're restricting you in a number of ways, and they're charging you an exorbitant amount of interest, to the tune where, for example, on a $10,000 borrow, you may pay back $20,000. But you'd never know it from just quick reading the documents. And these documents are written just like all those terms and conditions are written, right? They're in tiny print, and nobody reads them but lawyers. Nobody writes them but lawyers. Nobody reads them but lawyers. However, you're in luck. You're talking to an accountant who has read them, because I've had clients who've gotten trapped in them, and I had to figure out how to dig them out. So with them, how to figure them with them, how to dig out. So here's the trick. If you ever see anything that's called a forward arrangement, or a, what is it called? For advance on sales, advance on future sales, be wary and read the fine print. In general, they're going to tell you, you can't borrow money from anybody else while you're borrowing money from me. In general, although they will advertise that you can have monthly payments and they'll give you millions of dollars, they're going to give you 1/10 of what they lead with, and they're going to make you do weekly payments. No matter that they tell you, hey, just do this really quick, and then in 6 months we'll be ready to give you a much better loan with better terms. Nope, they're not going to do that. They're going to keep you trapped in this, and they're going to call you again in 6 months and get you trapped in another one. And each time you're trapped in one, you go deeper and deeper and deeper, because what happens to a business is every dollar you're making now is getting paid back for debt, and you're not able to pay your payroll, you're not able to pay yourself, you're not able to run your expenses. So that one email that people innocently get or text and hit yes to has led to the downfall of a ton of small businesses, and I want to keep you from it. So that's just what I wanted you to know. I'm going to get a few samples of these texts, because I get them all the time, because I work with a lot of clients trying to help them with their credit and borrowing. So I basically have a phone that just gets these messages. I get probably, I would say, no less than 100 a day. Text messages and calls from people saying, hey, let me help you. They don't realize I may not need anything at this moment, which is how I know that they've gotten my number. Because what happens is, here's another thing. You go to one of these people, and they're basically brokers who go out and try and find the best deal for you like this. And then the people they're giving the deal to find out your information, and then they'll reach out to you directly and say, hey, do this with us directly instead of through that guy, and we'll save you X number of dollars. And that's even more horrific than the brokers. So just beware that back alley of financing for small businesses, because it can really lead to a downward spiral. Ping me if you have any specific questions, or if you get an email or a text that you're wondering about, drop it in the comments and I'll let you know my thoughts. Take care.